wee kind of reflection on. I reflect on how I got up, how did I get up that day? What kind of mood I'm in? If I'm not, if I feel like I'm in a mood that I'm not feeling very positive or whatever I'm feeling, then I'll write that down and like, I need to change this today. What am I going to do to change that? So, and I'll then reflect on yesterday. What did I do well yesterday? What could I do better with?
Yeah.
What went wrong? How could I stop that happening again? And then I'll look at today. How I need to deal with, how I need to kind of be today, how I need to deal with things, what's my flaws, looking at the day ahead, what do I need to deal with and what's my flaws, what could possibly go wrong here, or what could put a spanner in the works.
You strike me as a man that's lived two very different lives. Right. Mark, Laurie, thanks for joining us on the Real Wealth Podcast.
Thank you.
To start with, you strike me as a man that's lived two very different lives. So talk to me about that kind of turning point in your life and what led to it.
There's probably a couple of turning points in my life, to be honest. So growing up, I was just a kind of normal wee guy. Pretty unremarkable, just a normal working class family upbringing. In my kind of later teens, mid to late teens, I started to get distracted.
Yeah.
I suppose. So, I mean, I was at high school. I was pretty much a decent student. Academically, should have been doing well. And then 5th year, so 16, just get distracted and messed up my eyes. And
were you enjoying school at that point?
No, I just got. I don't know if I'd ever really enjoyed school. To be honest, it was. I went and I done it and that sort of thing. And I done my work and all that, and never really got involved in any ball or anything. But I then got a place in college to do graphic design.
Yeah.
And when I got the place in college, I got it in the back of my art portfolio basically. So I then just down tools. I went, I don't need my eyes. Kind of think ahead and clashing with my mum and dad back then as well. So clashing with them, and then that was probably well, I went to college and done graphic design for about 2 months, and then went, nah, this isn't for me. And that was probably the start of the decline.
What had initially made you apply for the graphic design that you thought, maybe this is for me?
I thought I was quite good at art.
Yeah.
I mean,
well, you must have been, because you got it, right?
I was decent enough for drawing and things like that. But when I then went to do graphic design, it's all very, that's got to be that size and this has got to be this size, where I was just more, I could draw a nice picture and then maybe, I wasn't as creative probably as I thought I was, but I could copy if there was a still leaf or something done in higher art, that sort of things, or copying a photograph, I could draw.
I was speaking to, I had a podcast recently, I think it was Julian Mithoff, who had initially went in for architecture, and he was talking about the fact that he viewed this as the opportunity to have a creative outlet. He viewed himself as quite creative. I can design these beautiful buildings and all that. And the reality of getting into that subject was, you've got all these building regulations to learn. Everything must meet this size, this makeup. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And it just, like, the reality versus the dream was just so drastically different. He was like, this isn't for me.
Yeah. So it was probably the same. It was all very restrictive. And then it just wasn't for me, and I just chucked it. So I think I was working part-time in Benetton in Buchanan Street back then. So I got more hours in there. Yeah. And then I always worked. So the years coming on, I always worked, but I bounced about different jobs. And that's just something I talk about with the young people I'm working for the schools. Like, some of them say they don't know what they want to be, and I'm like, that's fine, you don't know what you want to be, but see if you've got a goal and what sort of life you want. One of the most things I work with them on that is, imagine yourself at 18 to 21, what would your life be like? So when I had done that, I just put all my eggs into one basket and said I want to be a graphic designer. Yeah. When I realised that wasn't happening, then I never really had anything else.
You never recalculated things and figured it out. And I always think it's such a difficult thing at that age to have any idea what you're still figuring out who you are.
You've got a clue.
I think you're still figuring out who you are well into your 20s, and even that evolves as you get older, because I'm not the same person I was in my mid-20s, and I doubt I'll be the same person again when I'm in my mid-40s. It's just, it's something that evolves, and so much pressure goes on kids really early. You know what I mean? My stepson's starting to do standard, well, whatever the equivalent of standard grades is now, not whatever. And, you know, he's had to pick his subjects and he doesn't have a clue, you know, like
it's a lot of
and
pressure.
they end up gravitating to, well, I like football, so I'll do PE and, you know, those sort of things rather than, you know, having the opportunity to explore a bit longer, you know. And I know there are schools that are starting to give them a bit longer before they need to start making these choices and narrowing things down, but, you know, it's a really tough time for kids.
So that was when, and excuse me, looking back now, I can see that my dad probably set a good example. So my dad got up to work every day.
Yeah.
My mum worked as well, but so that was probably ingrained in me, that although I was kind of sliding off path, I always worked. There wasn't really very many periods where I was out of work. If it was maybe a couple of weeks and get something else. But these jobs that I was bouncing about were really just to fund the weekend. Yeah. That was me just listening for the weekend. I was like getting 17, 18, 19, so you're just like
still living at home.
You're like, still living at home, but you're like a dog off a leash, aren't you? Like the town. You're going to the dancings and that sort of thing. So that's when the party lifestyle then all kind of kicked in, and getting into it, involved with the party lifestyle, the rave scene, and going down that road, and curiosity killed the cat sort of stuff. So that's that. I kind of exhausted that avenue, let's say, and the shit hit the fan. It came to a point where the shit hit the fan, and through all the years, I was always working. I was doing mad jobs. I was like kind of contrasting jobs. So worked in an insurance call centre for years, done bouncing, worked in bars, worked in nightclubs, worked in shops. Still laced my trainers the way I learned in JD when I was 18, 19, the way they told you. What else I done? Worked in the Royal Mail sorting office, doing deliveries with Chinese, that sort of thing.
When you have got that kind of, or you're in that thought pattern of just get a job so I can get money, so I can do the things I want to do at the weekend. You know, it's very easy to get distracted, you know, and actually most people go through their lives just in that permanent distraction. And okay, as you get older, it might not be going at the weekend, it might be, you know, getting a better house or a nicer car, or, you know, I'm just working to get me these things and these are the rewards at the end of it. But then the reality is you get used to that and then you want the next thing. And before you know it, you've gone through your life, you've not created anything for yourself. You've never even taken the time out to think, what do I want out of life? You know what? Where 70-year-old me looking back, what would make him happy? You know, to say, right, I'm happy with what I've achieved in my life. Nobody spends time to do that because nobody is taught to think like that. And you know, there's so many distractions now, and this was something I was going to discuss with you because I know you work a lot with kids, and I'm worried about it. You know, I'm worried about the state of the world now for the next generation. I've got really young kids, and I just don't know what it's going to be like for them when they get to that age. You know, we've got mass digital distractions, social media. You know, a lot of kids can't even socialise now because they're so used to just being on a screen. You know, you can order your food from a screen and it turns up at the house. You don't even have to go out your room. Computer games, you know, you don't have to go back that far. You know, go back 80 years and men had to go to war and died. Kids were having to work really young. There was food shortages. You were dying of simple diseases. Life was fucking hard. And now life has got so fucking easy. And that's not to say that there aren't people at the lower end of the wealth spectrum that do still struggle, but a lot of those basic needs are taken care of. Where does the drive come from? You know, where are these kids got anything to strive for when everything's handed to them on a plate, you know? It worries me. It
is worrying, and I've got my two wee boys are only 3 and 4 year old, and I'll try and make things a wee bit difficult for them. I've done it since they're babies because it's like life's going to be too comfortable. They've got to be more comfortable than I had it.
How do you do
that? So even just for example, when wee Joe, my youngest, wee Jojo, I put him in bed one night, he was a baby, and I came out the room, and Kirsty went, and she's sleeping already, and I says, no, he's drinking his bottle, and she went, how's he holding it? And I went, like that. She went, are you kidding me on? I stand there and feed him it. And I went,
more like
went, how did he, I said, if he's hungry, he's going to work it out. I said, oh, can I sit it there and let him find it out? And it was so when they were younger, if they were crawling to get things, I would move things a wee bit further away so they would crawl that wee bit more. Johnny, my oldest one, when he went to crawl up the stairs, I kind of panicked. And then I went, I'll just keep him safe. So I just stayed behind him as he was crawling up the stairs. When he got up the stairs, I made a big deal. Obviously, I'm looking at it for a training aspect. So I brought him back down again, lifted him back down, and then and he crawled up again. So like wee things now, they're 3 and 4. They want to go there, like go match these wee collectible Lego figures. So just the other week when I had a wee shop, and you can get a doubler basically. Long story short, you can get a doubler. So explain to them, boys, you've got a fiver, you've got a fiver. You can either put that away and get something bigger next week, or you can get this just now. So obviously they want to get it just now. He says, but you might get one you already have, there's no way I know. And one of them get a doubler, and he kicked off, and one of the shop's like, oh, I'll get him another one. He says,
no, he needs to learn his lesson.
He's got to understand, he's got to learn his lesson. And I actually said to him, I said, life's too comfortable for them.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get many letdowns or anything like that. So I said, just I'm teaching my lesson. Like
it's something that, you know, I mean, my kids are very young. They're 1 and 3.5. And, you know, I'm already starting to think about how I'm going to manage that sort of stuff and how I can kind of try and get as many life lessons across to them as I can. It's also finding the time to make sure that you're there and present and thinking about this stuff, because it's too easy to get caught up in life and your own shit and work. And
sometimes I'll just give them a couple of choices and say that's your choice. And I remember somebody said to me a while ago, he said, sometimes you need to let the rains touch your fire to know it's burning.
Yeah. No,
so you just need to control it. I mean, that's so. That's how I work with them.
I mean, the reality is, life is struggle, and I think looking at the kind of modern statistics on things, it proves that if life is not a struggle, if life doesn't present you some challenges to overcome, it leads to people that are just not fully formed, too weak, too soft. Look at the levels of fucking depression just now. I was reading the statistics the other day. So 16% of adults have moderate to severe depression. 16% of all adults, moderate to severe, has gone up 6% since before COVID. And then when they start breaking it down into the groups, young adults are almost at 28%. 28% of all young adults between 16 and 29 have got depression of some variety. I mean, it's becoming an epidemic now, and there's obviously underlying issues that are driving it. And the reality for me is, it seems like there's just not enough fucking struggle for a lot of them. They don't learn resilience.
Yeah, I've learned now that at college they get it's like a late week, they get a review week or something, because they can't handle the workload at college and doing that now. So they get a week, kind of catch up week to give them a break, to make it a bit easier for them.
Yeah.
It's like college.
It's not supposed to be.
College, I've worked 30 hours a week. I was doing voluntary stuff.
Yeah.
I done that. My uni was in Edinburgh. I was back for to uni in Edinburgh. I was like, you just had to go on with it. Excuse me. But there has to be hardships, because through hardship, then it's just
you test what you're made of, and also you get used to being able to deal with and overcome those issues, you know. It's scary. And then, you know, the other thing I put into the mix with the young kind of generation is, you know, their world is going to be drastically different to anything we've known, because just look at how far AI is advancing. You know, the workforce is going to be massively different.
Well, there's young boys now who say they want apprenticeships, and they can't get they get an apprenticeship and they can't stick it. Yeah. I was talking to a guy who's got a building company, and he said it was something like in the past 8 months he had been through 4 or 5 apprentices, joining apprentices.
Yeah.
And he says, I'm not even asking what they do the stuff that I done. Mm-hmm. He says, I've made it easier than what they've got to do. They get picked up, they get dropped off, they can't handle it. They can't handle nobody on their phone during the day, they can't handle...
I can speak for one first-hand experience on this. We've got a building company, we've had about 7 or 8 apprentices at one point, and we've gone through them like nothing, because they don't turn up, they phone in sick, it's been an old firm weekend, you know, they're not going to be there. You know, just no fucking work ethic whatsoever.
Yeah, I seen a job advert. I think it was like Airdrie tires and exhaust or something. It was during the summer. They basically want a yard boy with a view to come round for an apprenticeship. And the part they had used was amazing. They're like, number 1, don't get your multi-phoners. Number 2, must be able to do some hard work. Yeah. Number 3, don't turn up with Gucci gear on. So just like Navy Spice Boys or that sort of thing. It was just totally kind of...
They've probably seen it all through that process.
Aye.
So
sorry, to go back to your kind of first point.
Yeah, I mean, we took a bit.
So during that time, I was building up a lot of debt because I was trying to live the lifestyle sort of thing, and I kept getting loans to buy a new car, and then give me a wee bit of money, and then consolidating the credit cards and blah blah blah. So I built up quite a lot of debt, and I had nothing to show for it.
Yeah,
absolutely nothing to show for it. I then started doing some extracurricular stuff outside to try and keep up with. During this time when I'm bouncing about different jobs, pals have been qualified and then they're earning decent money.
Yeah.
So for me to try and keep up with them, I started doing other stuff as well. As I said, the shit hit the fan with that then, and world just kind of collapsed. I was going to say exploded, but it just kind of collapsed. So I was left at a point where, like, what am I doing here? Found a way to not step for a wee bit, and then it was only when I was there that then it was just like the clarity, because I was away from the party scene. I wasn't drinking, I wasn't getting mad out, I wasn't partying. I was isolated, I suppose, but you're just then, that's when I talk about self-reflection starting for me, which I didn't realise I was doing at the time, but I was just like penny storming all over the place. And I was like, when I had my own house and I was having parties, my house was full, my phone was going red hot. When I was at hospital, they'd do bring us up a McDonald's, they'd do phone me, they'd do checking in, when I was off my work. I was off my work, I broke my arm, I broke my hand. As my mum and dad will come out to see you, I'll come get their messages. So
the people that really care.
You're just like, when there's a party on, like, everybody's there, but when you're maybe need to have your hand do something, there's no any.
But, you know, in a sense, you were kind of fortunate that life handed you a break from the distraction that you were in and the cycle that you were in.
What happened at the time, I thought this, and I remember it was years ago, it was like 2006, I think, 2006. And I remember my mum would text us, and I'd text her saying, I'm the worst year of my life. And in that time, I was like, I just don't know how I'm going to get out of this. There was loads of stuff, like a few quite serious things going on. And I was like, I don't know how to get out of this. And then, but looking back now, it was the best thing. I think it's in a way, it was the best thing that could happen to us.
Yeah.
Because as I said, then you're reflecting, and then you're saying, like you said earlier on, but you don't know who you are until, well, obviously 26, 27, and I realised who I was, because I was taken out of the environment I was in. I wasn't out drinking and all that sort of thing. So as I said, the mental clarity just came through, the self-reflection, and I'm going, right, wait a minute, use this time to try and sort myself out and get a bit of focus. We're talking about, like, I had no focus or direction or whatever, it was just bouncing about, really. So I then decided that when I get home, I'm going to focus on something. I'm not actually, like, I was like 27, do you know what I mean? So you're approaching what you think is going to be old when you're 30. you're nearly 30. So then when I came home, when I was away, I was training all the time. That's when I just started training. I'd kind of tried it before, but you were going to a Wednesday because you're doing it all weekend, you're doing it Wednesday, Thursday, then you're out again and you're messing about. So
and it takes the Wednesday to kind of recover for the week. So you're ready for it, you know.
So all you're doing is going and doing a wee mess about, and then you want to sauna. So when I built up consistency with training, and I started to take a bit of shape, and I started to feel good, I was out running, and my head just felt brilliant, and like I had nothing. I was like back to below square one. Back at my mum and dad's house, in my wee bedroom. It's probably about half the size of this room we're in here. My wee single bed. I remember it was the Euros 2008, so I had 2 games of football on at night that were kind of keeping me sane. That I was watching them. I was working as a barber at the time, but I knew I wasn't going to make money at that. I was too slow. Where I'd been cutting hair, they'd do his bottom about time. So I was too slow. I had to right into the training. It was just a conversation with somebody. I said, look, I just want to do this training thing. This is just make me feel good. I feel like a new guy. I just feel like my perception's totally changed. My outlook totally changed. I'm skint, but I'm happy skint here. Like, I've not really got anything. I bring nothing to the table right now. But see, inside me and my head, I'm feeling really, really good.
But you've got the mental focus and the energy levels to attack something and give it your all. And it's just finding that area that you want to attack.
And I remember I was in my mum and dad's back below square one, as I always say, And I remember thinking, right, I remember doing the sums. My first thought was, I need to get back out, I need to get my numbers again. And I remember doing the sums and how much I was going to be bringing in and working a normal wage. And I'm like, I need to be bringing in. I'm not going to, like, I didn't have a trade or anything. I had no kind of experience I could really go back to. And then I when I say down the dirt, but I was looking at it wrong. I was going, I need to get out here, I need to get out here. And then I looked at it differently and I was like, I should maybe use this as a step back to move forward. Mm-hmm. So I looked at college courses and then I said to my dad, I was like, do you mind if I stay here a bit longer? My dad's like, yeah. By all means, he's like, it's brilliant having you here. I wasn't coming home drunk. I was a different guy for them. Do you know what I mean? So,
they call that. It seems like the instant thought is to get back on the hedonic treadmill, which is just trying to get your own place and build your life out from there. But ultimately, what you're doing through that process is taking on a lot of liabilities. It's going to put financial pressure on you, rather than just taking that step back and saying, okay, I'm below square one, but I've got an opportunity here. I'm never going to have my life again. I've got no obligations. I've got a roof over my head. I can build something from here, and rushing out and getting the first job so you can get your own place, might just take you back to where you were before, So, I mean, it sounds like that was an important decision.
So that's when I looked at it, and I looked at it differently, and I went, rather than moaning about this, let's try and use this to my advantage here, and use this as a kind of base to build on. Like you say, there was no outgoings really. Yeah. Back at my mum and dad's house, roof over my head and getting fed, really. So, and you're taking that in the chin, you think, I'm a grown guy here, but do you know what, like, I've messed up. They're not quite happy, but they're happier that I've now got I've refocused, and I'm going to be using this.
There's something quite comforting, I think, when you're looking forward, rather than, you're looking at your current situation saying, fuck me, how have I ended up? I'm 27, I'm back with mum. Rather than saying, look, here's where I want to be. I've now got the opportunity to do that, which, quite honestly, even though you might have been in a better position before, you didn't have, because you didn't have the mind frame, you didn't have the focus or the time. So, it's like the yin and yang of everything, a great opportunity coming with a situation that's less than ideal.
So I went to college and done fitness, health and exercise, and I started an NQ course. It was a January start, so I had Christmas leavers for school who were like 15-year-old, and I'm sitting there like somebody's dad. Yeah. And I was getting, there was wee guys who were like carrying on, and they were still in the school mode where they're like trying to wind up the lecture. I'm like, you want to shut up?
I'm trying to learn here.
Don't want to be here, like, you can beat it, this is the school. So I went through the NQ 6-month course, then went on to my HND, and through the process of that, it was fine. I'd finally found something that I was good at, something I understood. That was like, the lecturers asking questions, man. And then I had built up a good relationship with the lecturers at college, because I was the same age as most of them. Yeah. So, and they knew I was there for real. So they didn't mind investing a bit of time in me if I needed a bit of extra help or whatever, and I was like going to bashing it to try and chat on doors to get voluntary experience and things.
You have to think that's why a lot of teachers do what they do, because they want to change lives, and it's not easy when the kids aren't interested, so to get that feedback from someone, I can imagine is quite rewarding.
Aye. So it was that. I mean, that was a good experience. I loved it. It gave me a nice solid structure. I went into college on my days off, because if I sat in the house, I watched Sketchbook News or whatever. So even my days off, I just went up into college. I didn't have a job at the time. Then later through college, I managed to get a job in a wee council gym in Kirky. So I was doing that, and I was like, this is like, I'm on a path here. And then my aim was just to finish the HND, go and get work in the gym, be a personal trainer. Through college and different conversations about, you know what, I'm going to keep going here. Again, said to my dad, which means if I stay here a bit longer again, I think I'm going to apply for uni, I'm going to go and do sports science. He's like, by all means, but this time my two younger sisters, by the time this time they had moved out, and my mum was like, I feel like I'm the third wheel, I'm the spare wheel, where there's like two flatmates, we're just talking about football and things like that.
She's now outnumbered.
Aye. So went through uni, 3 years at uni to get the sport. That's a kind of a lot of hard work and effort, something, a few words here. And then finished uni. I graduated, it was like, what happens next? Like, it was a bit of an anticlimax. Yeah. Applying for loads of jobs, obviously I've got a black mark in my name, so it makes it a wee bit harder. Now, sometimes I had a wee bit of a chip on my shoulder, but I had to get rid of that, and it was like, well, that is what it is. And then one of my mates passed away very suddenly, just died. One day here, and the next day gone cold. That's Dave's from here.
Jeez. So was he ill?
Sorry?
Was he ill?
He was a year younger than me, I think. So we're talking 14 years ago now, so maybe late 20s.
Well,
late 20s it was.
It's nothing more shocking than that point. Yeah.
I just thought that was it. So at that time, I had not long finished uni, and Dave always said to me, he's like, you offer more, you need to get out here, you offer more to the kind of the industry, and like you need to do something. So I'd had this idea about having my own business and opening up my performance facility, blah blah blah. And then when I happened with Dave, it was just like I already thought I'd quite a positive kind of outlook, and obviously I was training, I was at college at my uni and all that. I was like, I'm moving on a good path here. But that's when it kind of blew me off, sort of thing, or the penny dropped, and I went, nah, fuck it, do you know what, I'm going to do something here.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to kind of, and I had not long just met my now wife, but we were together less than a year, and I said to her, look, I've got this idea for a gym. I mean, my idea at first was at the performance facility. Joe Blogs interested. I only want sports performers. Because if you try to get jobs, you'll just get rejections all the time. So I thought, well, do you know what? I'm just going to go for this here.
It's quite an interesting point, and it's something that I see quite a lot from, entrepreneurs, particularly of, it can come from challenge. So the fact is, you tried to follow the normal path of things. You went back to college, you went to university, you tried to get a job, you were hitting roadblocks there, and then the situation then becomes, right, I need to do something for myself here. I need to take control of the situation and build something for myself. And you find that a lot with entrepreneurs, that guys that seem to do really well were the guys that maybe didn't get to where they thought they were going to be and ended up in a slightly different situation, having to just go with the punches. But what that has built in you already before you've even started is a level of resilience, because one, you're taking personal responsibility for everything in your life, which is massively important. And two, you're now thinking, right, this is going to be mine, I'm going to build my own thing, and my financial future is now in my own hands, and most people's isn't. They're dependent on a job or a company.
Actually, that's when I just decided, I was like, I'm just going to go for this. No clue what I was doing with a business. Like, absolutely no clue. I remember going to Business Gateway, and I had the idea. And I totally wasn't, and I just explained it, and the old guy was just sitting in a sweetie, and then just went on to talk about the difference between sole trade and limited company, and I was like, I know this. I'm not I want more business advice here, and he gave me a pen drive. He's like, put your business plan on that. And I left feeling just totally deflated. I was like,
you have to think though, anybody that is giving advice on business, how good is it going to be if they're not in business?
I know.
You know what I mean? That guy was an employee of Business Gateway. What experience do you think he's really got?
And that's just something I talk about. Like when I opened up, so I opened up 2015, I think it was. The end of 2015, there wasn't very many small independent gyms. There was. So when I was actually doing all my research, I was looking at Canada, America, Australia, and when I went to get the funding, I applied to, it was like a government fund, and the kind of the other partners that I was dealing with just couldn't understand the concept. Just couldn't get the concept. My business plan was to a T, and the forecast and everything was done, but they just couldn't understand the concept that you come. There's a coach there training people, they get programs, they just couldn't, and it was always a higher price point than they wanted, like Pure Gym or whatever. So I managed, back and forward with them, and I managed to get them to kind of understand it and grant my funding. But then through different people that you're speaking to, like you're saying the guy Business Gateway, like I spoke to somebody at the bank, that's a really good idea. Everybody, that's a brilliant idea. But nobody played devil's advocate, nobody shot holes in it, nobody. So then when I launched, and I'm just a wee guy who done some voluntary stuff at Queen's Park Pro Youth Academy, at Hamilton Pro Youth Academy, who worked with a wee part-time team here and there, who's got no reputation, who already had a reputation in the Kirky Gym where I worked in. I've done good programmes in rehab people and things like that. I used to know somebody who's worked at Celtic Rangers, Motherwell Hibs, And then opened up our gym and everybody goes. So when I opened up, they came. And I'm like, wait a minute, but there's no other performance gyms. And obviously I've cut my market right down as well.
Yeah.
And I'd done it in blocks, where it was 8-week blocks, so you were paying a lot of money up front for 8 weeks. There was just so many things looking back that there was just so many barriers. I'd created so many barriers for opening up that it just made it easy for people to say, no, that's well for me.
Again, it's just really where you get the advice from, you know, because if you've got even people at a bank or business gateway or you know, do they really have any value to add? Have they been where you're trying to go and can they get it?
Exactly.
But on the flip side, it's not easy to get someone who has built a successful business like that to come and give you free advice. You know, did I pay for it at that point?
There was the original place was in the top of the city centre, so it was in Townhead, and there was a boy at a gym called Improved Glasgow, we washed you up. He's got a gym called Improved Glasgow. He was in the bottom of the town. And I was at a seminar and he was speaking at it, and everything that he was saying, he was like a year and a half ahead of me or something, maybe 2 years ahead of me.
Yep.
And everything that he was saying that he'd went through was everything that I was going through at that moment.
Yep.
So I'm sitting just like nodding at everything he's saying. He says, "You look like you know what I'm talking about." I says, I'm there just now. So after that, I said to him, "Look, is there any chance I could sit with me for half an hour or something, because you've just explained my situation right now, and it's like just a wee guide out there." I said, "No, I'm at the top of the town, you're at the bottom of the town. I appreciate you, I'm maybe not going to give me your secrets, but just a wee kind of hand guide." He's like, "I'm not. I'll tell you everything you need to know." He's like, "You need to apply it." He says, "But you could open up next door to me. Your people will come to you, and my people come to me. It doesn't matter." So he says, "I'll tell you everything you need to know." So I met him the next Sunday, I think it was, or 2 Sundays later. I met him and we sat for over 2 hours, just sat at Costa for over 2 hours, and he ripped my business model apart constructively. And I just get so like in that time,
so much value,
just so many simple wee things. He's like, "Why'd you do it like that? Why'd you do that?" I'm like, "I don't know." It was just like,
it's incredible how much a conversation with the right person at the right time can change your life, you know.
And it just, when I started to then apply the things that he said, it just started to work better. It just kind of oiled the cogs sort of thing, and things just started to work better.
What were the changes they was suggesting?
I said, "Why don't you just make it a monthly membership?" And I was like, because I was doing like 8-week programs, and what happened with the 8-week programs, when someone done an 8-week block, subconsciously, they're coming to the end. So they see that in week 7, then at week 8, right, I've finished that, I'm going to go and do something else now.
Yeah.
He's like, monthly membership, he's like, people pay their bills monthly, so obviously the month, I can't remember what it is, 8 weeks, it was like 250 quid, say. He said, it's quite a big barrier for people. He's like, if you just put it in a monthly membership, people pay all their bills monthly.
Yeah.
He says, and it just recurs, your programming doesn't stop, they're just a member for however long their lifespan their membership is. So they just come, and I'm like, and then he's like, and have it on a kind of monthly system, so everybody like pay your non-direct debit. And I'm like, and then he's like, I had separate nights, so it was like Tuesday, Wednesday night, a Monday, Wednesday group, and a Tuesday, Thursday group. He's like, just out of the system, and they can come anytime. It's just, there needs to be flexibility. And I was like, aye. And there was so many different wee things that they made that such a massive, made such a massive difference. Yeah. And then I actually went back to him during the lockdown, and I was like, "Ross, I haven't spoke to you for 2 years or something, and I'm popping up here looking for something the next day." But I'm at a point, a kind of transition point with the gym here, when I'd taken boys on and I was trying to make sure everything was right. At first that was me doing everything, so I said, I'm at a transition point, and I've got 3 or 4 questions here, and I know you'll have the answers. Any chance I can phone you for 10 minutes? Phone me the next day, have to phone them, blah blah blah, boom. And it just again made it so simple. He didn't want anything for that, I remember that. So since then, there's like, I don't know, I felt like 10 people opening up wee gyms. Yeah. I said, come see me. You're going to make mistakes. I made 4 years of mistakes. Sit down with me for like an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, and I'll tell you everything that you should do and everything you shouldn't do. And then you can go and apply the work. Yeah. You've still got to go and do the work. You've still got to go and do your 12, 14, 16 hour days.
It's always interesting when, you know, people coming into a market have this instant expectation that it's fierce competition in the market, and it can be.
Aye.
But you're often surprised at how collaborative a lot of people who on the face of it are competitors can be, because everybody's got their different niche or market or customer target that's slightly different, and sometimes there can actually be a lot of wins to be had for both parties in working together. I mean, for example, a big part of our business is sourcing below market value properties. So in Scotland, we've got this company that sources, it's a home buying company.
Right.
And we started speaking to We Buy Any Home, which are the country's biggest. They're based down in London. And the expectation instantly is like, no, you guys are competing with us, fuck off. But the conversation actually went, well, actually, we got all these leads for Scotland and we don't do anything with them because we don't buy in Scotland. So how about we start giving you our leads and we'll split fees?
Aye.
And we've done that with several of the big home buyers down in England now, because it just makes sense for everybody.
Aye. It's the same. I mean, at specific, we would get a big youth programme.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had people who, so a person went to a personal trainer, and a personal trainer said, look, see up at specific, they've got a youth programme that's been going on for nearly 10 years. They're really the place to go to. I could work with the wee man or the your wee girl, but really, they're the best place. I've had people signpost us, or some people have come to us for a certain style of training, and they're like, look, that's not really our cup of tea, that's not really what we do. That gym there is the best for that.
Yeah.
Or we do rehab as well, injury rehab. So loads of people saying, loads of other people in the industry saying people to us, we're the only rehab program there is.
Well, I was going to say that it's not that common for a gym to have a rehab centre. So how did that come about, and what was the kind of process?
I done a cruise ship years ago. Like, I was 19. I walking up the road from the town because I'd spent all my money and couldn't get a taxi. It was New Year. It was having a day. I'd been at a rave in King Street car park, like a BBC One rave in King Street car park. Lost my pal, or my pal, whoever I was with. Was trying to walk up the road. I remember I had about £7 in my pocket, and I slept on ice, and I'd done the cruise ship, but I didn't know I'd done the cruise ship, and I couldn't walk, and I was stumbling. I managed to be with a taxi. He took me to a certain point. He said, I'll grab you here. Managed to get down the road. So anyway, I've done a cruise ship then at that point, but I never got diagnosed, and for years I just had a dodgy knee. It was only when I got into fitness and training and at college and things like that, and my knee kept kind of going, and we're trying to do badminton and 5 sides and all that. So then get jigged and you get an ACL. You've ruptured your ACL. So through the operation and my rehab support, I didn't think was very good. And I was dead keen at things. So I was at college, I was researching stuff, and I was going to this knee group. And I was going, and I was kind of, because I was so keen, and so I was thinking, I've read this and I've read that. Then you could try this. And so anyway, I basically done one rehab on it, checked in with a physio for a football club. So because of the research I'd done and my interest was in that, then when I worked in the gym, I then started to do rehab programs with people once they'd been through their early stage, and they were working on mid stage of rehab. Then I was working on the rehab with them. So the interest was always there, and the kind of knowledge and stuff I'd done at uni as well on rehab. So the knowledge was there, and I'm just applying it. So then when I started, when I opened the gym and I was doing rehab stuff, I was doing one-to-ones with people. Yeah. But it was all football boys, basically. It was all boys through my connections when I started doing fitness coaching with teams and things. So the connections and everybody, that was just kind of circle that I was in. So I would have one boy in once a week, another boy in once a week, and once a week I'm making up the programmes, changing them, and they were kind of forgetting what they were doing, so the consistency was there, and I was like, you need to do this 3 times a week away from you, and I'm like, I'd done it once, and then that one was something. So I was working with a few boys at one time, one-to-one, and I thought, see if I just go use all in a group, it makes a better atmosphere.
Yeah.
I can then, these are all in very similar programmes, I can coach a lot easier at one time, make sure you're getting exercises right. You can come more often, there's more consistency, it's going to be more effective. And it's a better atmosphere as well for the boys who are injured, because nobody wants to go and stand in the corner of the gym doing balance exercises, moving with elastic bands and stuff like that.
Sense of community is always beneficial.
And because they all played football, they were out of football, so they'd missed that. The camaraderie, they missed that environment of having a banter and all that sort of things. So when I then worked out and kind of I never got the model perfect right away, but what I've learned now is that you just need to pull it. If you've got an idea, just pull the trigger on it.
Yeah.
Just do it, and then just work with it and reflect on it and get feedback to see. The first when I started, when I owned the business, I took feedback dead personally. Now it's just like, I don't care, just tell me, like, how can I make this better? But if I just tell me, I'm not going to hurt my feelings. I want this to be better. So we then progressed it, and we kind of kept alternating to get the model good, and to get a good working model with it. And then one of the boys who was coaching with me, he went down his physio masters. So that just totally transformed it, because it made we could take people who are at a much earlier stage, because he could then diagnose.
Yeah.
So now it's kind of, I mean, but I'm taking my own horn here, but it's kind of the place to be. And because it's been going on that long now, there's so many referrals, because people know somebody who knows somebody, or they know they've had somebody who's been in and who's been rehabbed and is away. That's
when it gets quite exciting in business, because you realise it becomes bigger than you. And you know, the challenge I think at the start with any business is it's just you pushing all the time, pushing, trying to force it forward.
Yeah.
And see, when you start to get that kind of referral based business where people are talking about your business, people that you don't even know, they're not on your radar, and they're talking about your business, that's when things start to get interesting.
I have people who will be contacting me and they'll say, my son's done his ACL or his ankle or something like that. Or they'll phone themselves and say, look, and then they've mentioned it, and at work, and somebody went, oh, my pal went there, they sorted him, he's not had a problem since. Or my daughter went there and her knee's been fine, whatever. Mm. So you're then, like you say, you're getting these people and people referrals and people just talking about you, and it's just like, it must just be sitting subconsciously in their head that if something happens, and people come, like about 4 people have told me that if they come here. So, and it's good now as well, because the name specific has became what you need to go up to the guys at specific. Mm-hmm. Well, that was a point where when it was just me doing everything in the old place, then it was you want to big marks, you want to marks, you want to marks. Mm-hmm. And then there was that wee transition point where it's specific, it's a full team. So we'll get 7 of us now.
7, thanks. One of the things, you know, because you spoke at our event quite recently, and I think one of the most kind of impactful comments you made during your speech was that for the first 3 years of graft in your business, you never got a penny out of the business. You weren't earning any money. And I think it's such an important point, especially, you know, in that room of guys that are just starting their property businesses. There's way too much on social media of you know, get financially free in 90 days, become a millionaire in a few months by implementing these easy tips. And, you know, it's not the fucking world we live in. No. There's so much hard graft and stress and, you know, thinking it's all going down the toilet and you've just wasted years of your life. But, you know, out of that comes persistence, it comes determination. You know, again, it's back to this whole thing of going through struggle. Exactly. You know, if you've just been handed millions, and this is the statistics on lotteries, you know, over half lottery winners lose their money within a 5-year period because they've just got it. They've not had to work for it. They've not had to learn how money works to be able to have all this money. So, you know, they misplace it. It's the same. If you had a business that was just handed to you one day and all of a sudden you were turning over 2 million a year, you've not became the person you need to do to have that. Yeah. You need to go through the struggle. You know?
Aye. There's people I spoke to recently and I try and give them that advice. Like you need to be ready to get the work done, to be doing everything, to be doing everything yourself. You need to be putting the hours in. It's like this isn't going to be like I mean, when I started the gym, when I opened up the first place, my starting time was 10 o'clock. I was like, I'm not going to work till 10 o'clock. I'm not going to do a wee training session. I'll get a shower, I'll get something to eat, and then I'll take my first session at 10. Mm-hmm. So that was my idea. And then people wanted to train before work, so I was like, all right, wait a minute. So
when you get up at 6 a.m?
Yeah, I need to be up on the first sessions at 6:30 and that sort of stuff. So I was totally, I was miles off it. And there's people that I speak to now that they think I'm just going to do this, and then the one that they keep saying is I don't want to work in the business, I want to work on the business. I was like, you want to work in it for a long time before you can then start working on it. But you can get a point where you can then pay somebody who's coming into work and you can take a step back and you still get paid as well. Because
that's at the start of business. You need you are the business. You need to do everything.
I seen an old it was an old email or something that I had sent, and I had on my email signature it was creator, coach, cleaner. That's what I was. I was everything.
It's essential, you know. And at the end of the day, you know, when you have the problem of scale and things start to get bigger, then you can start putting systems in place and bringing people in. But generally, way down the line, you know, way down the line.
And you eat last. This is what I'm saying. Explain to people who felt.
Yeah, I've always struggled with that one because, you know, one of the first books that I read that kind of woke me up to entrepreneurship and building your own business was Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki.
Heard you mention and I'm going to read that, right?
His big thing is pay yourself first. And the concept is you pay yourself first and then you have to hustle hard like fuck to make sure everybody else gets paid. It's not like, you know, don't bother paying everybody else to take all the money for yourself. But, you know, it's like if you said, right, this is mine, I've got this to gap, what the fuck am I going to have to do this month? It maybe puts a bit more pressure on you. But I can never get comfortable with that idea because our staff will always be paid before we get our salary. You know, that's the reality of it.
Right.
You also do a lot of work with young kids in terms. So, well, tell me a bit about that and what you're doing to try and.
So that was through the years when I was kind of rebuilding basically, and I worked for a guy. He'd done a lot of kind of social work in the community. So he would bring me in to do talks on certain projects or to deliver a wee seminar with him or do bits and pieces of involved with certain bits of sort of youth work and kids that I've involved with the criminal justice system and things. So it was something I was always kind of involved in as a bit part, but I was never really able to fully commit to it because I was studying my other job and that sort of stuff. So then when I opened up the gym, obviously all my time went into that. I was working 70 to 90 hours a week.
Yeah.
Then when things kind of changed and I was able to get, my time freed up a wee bit and you had boys in coaching with us. I had this idea of like, I work with the school kids that are basically going off the rails a wee touch.
That's an interesting point for me.
Right.
And I think it says a lot about who you are because I know a lot of people who would get to that point where the business had kind of starting to take care of itself a little bit more, and you know, you've got staff and teams and systems, and then the mindset of a lot of the guys would be like, right, next gym. What's next to grow this business, rather than thinking, right, how can I make an impact on someone's life?
Yeah,
you know, and that's a really cool place to go.
I think I had there's hundreds of thousands of guys who had done my route, who'd done what I've done and have been where I've been. Mm-hmm. Maybe not as many have come out the other side of it and we'd done a kind of positive route, a positive path. Some have and they just went about it quietly. I think myself, maybe a different kind of personality, and I wanted to then go back, and I thought, I've been there, I've done that, I've come through here, and I've learned all this from it, and I think I can then put that across in a way that's relatable to a young team that they can then, I'm not going to say don't do this and don't do that, I'm saying no, here's your options, here's the crossroads you're going to hit, that's what happens, you get down there, that's what happens, you get down there, and that's what happens, you get down there, or you could get down there and you could miss all that shit out.
Yeah.
Because the example I used in was like when I left school at 17, I was 27. I was 26, 27, 28. Before I actually kind of started what I was doing, like and then I think I was 37 before I actually started earning a proper wage that a man should be. What I say is like what a man should be earning. Because obviously when I started the gym, there was no, we said I wasn't getting any money. So, see, like that took me 20 years to get to there. She says, well, if I had missed out, I said, my life went there and then back up.
Yeah.
I said, I'm going to teach you how to miss all that shit out.
Level out of that.
Oh, there. She said, by the time you're 25, fucking hell, man, you could be doing anything you want. Like, you could have it. I said, these things that we've sort of spoken about in the first workshop, the things you want to have when you're 18 to 21, you fucking have them. And have them in a way where nobody's going to be able to take them off you and not going to lose them.
Exactly.
So what the wee hashtag I use is enlighten, empower, enhance. So I just want to enlighten them to things that are possible to them, open their eyes up to things that are possible to them, things that they can do, empower them, give them the tools, and just enhance them as young men. That they can then, they've got a better toolkit mentally, where they can deal with things. They can deal with stressful situations. They can manage their own. Like we guys meditating, we guys for skills or about Glasgow. We did that meditation thing again, Mark. We did that again, and they're like, sometimes you have to once you bring them back around, you guys are just out the game.
Aye, they've gone right in.
They're like, did you hypnotise me? I'm like, no, that's just meditating. So it's teaching them things like that, and just give them a wee mental toolkit to manage themselves, and then giving them employability stuff that I just teach them employability stuff that will help them. And it's like, no, like, oh, this is how you lay out a CV, nice. I'm like, don't write on the CV that you're hardworking. Somebody writes on a CV, we see when you're hardworking, so give me an example how you're hardworking. I worked 3.5 years, 9 years a week for nothing.
Yeah.
That's hardworking to me. How are you hardworking? That should be a given. That's not something you write in a CV. I'm hardworking and I'm punctual. So you fucking should be.
Yep.
Tell me something that makes me want to go, do you know what, I'll employ them.
How are you differentiating yourself? I seen on one of your Instagram reels you talking about this with a group of young kids, and it's like, you know, when you're writing your application, they know your mate, they know your bro, you know, and that is that. But you know, it's all about finding that ability to kind of relate to them.
Yeah.
Because, you know, I just don't think kids listen to their parents. Like, and that's a big generalization, but like when you bring in a third party, it's much easier to get them to listen.
That's why I get them into the gym, because it takes them out of that school environment.
Yeah.
I say, boys, we're in the gym, we're not in school, all right? Don't call me sir, my name's Mark, so don't call me sir. Don't call me here either, because I'll shout, here. Yeah. Don't call me here either, I'm more Labrador. So, if you need I'll say, wee man, if you need a piss, you don't need to put your hands up and ask me for a machine. A 15-year-old, say, Mark, I'm going to the toilet, sound. I was like, if you all start disappearing, you're going vaping and all that, then boys will get a problem. But I'm going to treat you as you're like young men here. So they're quite like that, and we have a bit of banter, and like I was writing something up on the board, and like, your handwriting's shocking, look at the state of you, how did you, they won, they gave you a job and all that, right? So that's fine, that's cool, that's fine with me.
Because that's the sort of banter have friends, and you're trying to get that relatability, you know?
So I talked to them just, I laid that out at the start, I said, boys, we respect each other in here, we can have banter. If the banter starts getting too one-sided, I have 10 pelters, but if it starts getting too one-sided against somebody or whatever, then that's out of order. But it gets about that school environment, and then sometimes if I'm to speak to schools that they might be a bit problematic, they might be this and they might be that. Give me do you guys up around here? They're sound, not a problem. So get them out of the environment, it kind of drops their guard a wee bit, and it kind of, I think in school they then put on that maybe that like they've got a kind of defence mechanism, or they've got an attack mode or whatever, that they want to ban people up, or they want to keep. So when we're in there, it's a different. It's cool, and we do the training, we do the workouts, then we sit with do the wee workshop. So, and there's this, through my experiences of the bad times, the dark times, what I learned for that, the rebuilding, and then building a business, and then as an employer, there's I feel that I've got so much kind of experience and so much value to give them, that it's just stuff you're never going to learn in the class, it's stuff that's going to last you. Like they'll write and I'll tell them to read stuff in wee charters and things like that. So like, this is a handbook for your life, man. This is you go back to this when you're 18. Like
those are life skills that the majority of kids is never going to get. You know, they're never going to teach that stuff in school. It's the same with the whole. They're never going to teach you how to understand the tax system and avoid the tax man. They're not incentivized to teach it. They never will. But if you can learn that stuff at a young age. I mean, it puts you 10 steps ahead of most adults, you know? It's incredible, and I think that's something that I really take away from what you've been doing. It's something that I'd love to do going forward, is get a bit more involved with. I mean, even just thinking about my stepson just now, and he's getting to that age, I'm trying to figure out the best way to kind of engage with him and start teaching him about his options in life from a financial perspective as well as anything else. You know, that he doesn't need to be an employee. You know, he doesn't need to go down that route. There's other ways to do it, and other ways out with this system that's been built. I
think that's something that I teach the kids as well. That there's a wee guy who's talking about landscaping and things, and I was like, set up your own landscape company. start off just now, going round the doors and cutting grass of your old neighbours that can't do it, sort of thing. Like, just learn to deal with people, learn to deal with people who haven't paid you, learn to have awkward conversations, just learn to just build your own skills, because you could then just set yourself up. It's it doesn't need to be like we spoke about a wee while ago. It doesn't need to be when you hit a point and you're my back's against the wall here, right, I'm going to do something. It could just be a smooth transition. There's a guy who goes around the schools teaching kids car washing, valeting. Yeah. Teaching them to get a wee diploma, car valeting diploma. And there's some of the wee guys are like, there's some lasses take as well actually, but some of the wee guys are right into it, really, really good. Terrible in the class, kicking off the teachers, that sort of thing, but when they do the car wash, totally tuned in. Yeah. Don't mess it. You should be on your phone. Get other people's into trouble, saying, get your phone done when you get his motors done. And one of you guys was on my project. I says, man, I know you're really good at that. And I says, they've done my van. I says, he's done a brilliant job in my van, and I'm not bumming you up. He's done a really, really good job. You could leave school and you could have your pal who's 18 driving the van. You could have your own wee run. Yep. And he's like, what? And I'm like, you could start a wee motor van and run. You could get a space in a yard somewhere and have a wee car wash. He says, you'll be good money.
You will. And, the reality is, if you do anything with a bit of passion and a bit of focus and, you become the best at it, then you're going to make good money. It doesn't really matter what route you go down to achieve that.
And if the passion's there and the passion's there, it's going to be hard work. That's what I tell people as well when I'm about to start a wee business at a gym. It's going to be hard work, it's going to be brutal. But if the passion's there, then it just makes it that wee bit easier. It's never going to be easy, but it just makes it...
it's a little bit more palatable when you're passionate about what you do, but it's still a tough pill to swallow, isn't it? But the whole school thing's quite an interesting one as well. And I spoke with Mark Ewan recently on a podcast, and he's a young guy that's making great waves in MMA. He's 5-0 in his first 5 professional fights. Done his first fight with Bellator last year, doing incredible things. But at school he was labelled as a kid with ADHD, big problem, bad behaviour, just get him out of my class as quickly as possible. His family struggled to deal with him at home because of his energy levels, and he was heavily medicated, and he never found his path until he stopped that medication, right? Until he found fitness and training, and that's something that worries me. We're living in a world where everybody needs to have a label, whether it's OT, OCD, ADHD, PTSD, and the solution is always for medication, medicating, so that they can fit them into the little box that they've created through the education system of, these are the types of kids we can deal with. Anyone out with that doesn't fall into it, so they're a problem. And I think, for a lot of kids in that situation, the sooner they get out of that education system, the better. You need to be able to get your base knowledge or whatever, but it's just not designed for you, unfortunately. It's not adaptable. If you look at a school classroom, 70 years ago, it's not changed much to today. And what they're teaching hasn't changed much. There's a few subjects here and there, but... broadly speaking, it is a machine that is very slow to...
Is that really the same? It's just trying to chop people out, and I suppose it's working on when you're doing your exams, a lot of it's just memorising the entire. It's no, and there is stuff that I remember I was at uni and I was doing biomechanics, and I was sitting in a lecture about 150, 170 people or something like. You remember we were doing Pythagoras' theorem? Yeah. And you remember this for higher maths at school, Sockatoa, and I was like, I remember, I was like, I had to go down and see the lecture. I was like, wait a minute.
Something to do with angles or something.
It's like get one, man. I'd have had 10, 12 years here. Yeah. And you're going to go.
I know you fill in the gaps, I'm afraid. But it just saddens me that, and the analogy Mark used was, he's sitting in a classroom full of rocks, and within that there are some diamonds, but there's a lot of work to be done to polish them up. And to think that we're missing out on some incredible potential of young kids growing up just because the system isn't adaptive towards them, and they're not going to get that right advice from the right person. And it can just be a simple conversation that changes the path of their life. For Mark, it was invited along to a Mai Tai training. No, it was an MMA training class. Then he got into Muay Thai, and you know, that was him. He was on a journey. You know.
I think if you try and find something with young people that drives them, something that they really get into, and if they get exposed to all these different things. So when I was growing up, it was boys club football, or there was a boxing club a bit. So there wasn't really anything else. I think swimming clubs and wasn't really into that either. I wasn't great at football. So after that, I just a normal guy kicked about my bike and like maybe played football with my pals in the park. But there was no. I think if you try and, rather than just in the school system, we say learn this. If there was, I think they're doing it a wee bit now with the wider achievement, and that's why I'm getting some people into me. But it's exposing them to different things where they can learn these different skills, and they can like, you then nurture through that skill. Whereas somebody's going to be a shitbot barber, you know, if we get 14, 15 that gets exposed to, like, we get taught about a bit of barbering. Like during the lockdowns, I was cutting my mate's hair because I still had the skills. So if there's different things that you could teach them, like if there was somebody came in, I was in an MMA seminar at PE. Imagine you pick a couple of people.
Exactly. They'd be like, there's talent there.
There's something there.
Yeah.
Like my youngest wee Jojo, he's 3 going 4, and since he's been about 18 months, and I've joked with some of the boys, I said in the videos, like some of the boys like Mark Ewan and some of the MMA boys, like he's just a grappler. Like it just to Johnny Mulder one, he would just grab him and bring him down to the ground, and he'd film his videos when he's wrestling with my dog, he's tapping my dog, he just uses his body, and like I'm like that. It's just a pure natural thing. And I was sitting one time and he had come up behind me and he kind of had me in a chokehold. I was about 2, so I was kind of rolled forward and rolled him off me, expecting that he was then going to roll onto the floor, let go of me, but didn't let go. And the way that he had rolled, I was kind of stuck on the floor. My hand was stuck against the couch, and I was stuck between the coffee table and the couch. We hadn't chokehold him, and I'm like, Joe, you there? Like, I was like,
he's nearly 10 you did.
I was like, that's something that I'm going to, when he gets that wee bit older, they can understand the instruction, then he's going to go to jiu-jitsu or wrestling or something like that, where there's something there.
That's a great outlet.
It's something there for him. It's just a natural, a natural thing for him.
My 2 are just mad with climbing. You know, anything they can climb on, they're right on it. You know, so you need to get them to rock climbing or something. I think the other thing I wanted to talk about, and this kind of goes back to the conversation we've had. You know, I always kind of feel like the 3 most important things you need to kind of have a happy, healthy whole life, you don't get taught in your younger years, certainly not at school, unless you're lucky enough to have some mentors or parents, is mindset, money, and love. You know, and to kind of preface that, you know, obviously depression's a big thing. How you manage your mind, huge thing. It's something you talk about, and it's what I wanted to discuss. Money, you know, managing finances, understanding how to make money, how to keep it, how to, you know, build it over the long term. And then love, you know, if you don't learn how to pick the right partner in life, it can be a miserable fucking life. And I've definitely been down that road. So, you know, the more we can do to get kids learning these kind of fundamental skills, you know, the better life is. But, you know, I've heard you talk on your social media a lot about mindset, and I enjoy your videos where you're walking and you give us a few golden nuggets of mindset stuff. So how big a part of that is your life, you know?
Massive. I mean, every morning I sit down, I've got my wee book, and I do my wee kind of reflection on, I reflect on how I got up, how did I get up that day, what kind of mood I'm in. If I'm not, if I feel like I'm in a mood that I'm not feeling very positive or whatever I'm feeling, then I'll write that down and like, I need to change this today. What am I going to do to change that? So, and I'll then reflect on yesterday. What did I do well yesterday? What could I do better with?
Yep.
What went wrong? How could I stop that happening again? And then I'll look at today, how I need to deal with it, how I need to kind of be today, how I need to deal with things, what's my flaws, looking at the day ahead, what do I need to deal with, and what's my flaws, what could possibly go wrong here, or what could put a spanner in the works. And just so I'm aware of that, and then, like I spoke about when I was at the seminar, how I want to think that day, how I want to act that day, and how I want to feel that day.
Yeah.
And that's me sitting consciously reflecting, and then setting the stall for the day.
Because you do that daily reflection, is there a pattern that you notice when, okay, you woke up today in a negative mood, and you can start to kind of define, I think I know what's caused that, or, you know, are we just these bags of chemicals that are going to throw shit at you?
No, there's through the work that I've been doing, and that's something that I'm teaching people that have been on my projects or been on my wee workshops, that they're at a kind of earlier stage, and it then flags up patterns with them. They go, I realise what's causing that now, and why I do that on a Thursday.
Yeah.
So it's brought a load of things up with them. There'll be times maybe, so I've woke up during the night feeling a bit kind of anxious or stressed, and going, wait a minute, and I'll note that down, and then you're like, wait a minute, there's something going on here, and it'll be like that it will sort of identify, right, wait a minute, I'm not feeling the way I should, I'm feeling there's something bubbling away here, and then I'll either go and think about it, or I'll maybe have a guy we use for NLP that I'll go to him, and we kind of dig about, and they go, that's what it is. And then it's just a case of, if I've identified what the problem is, then right, rather than worrying about it, and then how do I put my energy into fixing it? What's the solution? What's the problem? What's the solutions, or what's the possible outcomes here? So what I want to do is, like, what's the bit in between? How do I work on that?
This is something I've noticed, particularly in the last sort of 5 years as we've been building our business. It is how programmed we are as humans to try and avoid the difficult shit. And it can just become this underlying bubble and stress, when the reality is, if you take it fucking head on and say, right, I'm getting that sorted.
Just sort of strategy.
And it's not like you have to have it sorted to feel the relief of it. You just need to be working on it, you know?
Aye.
Or you can go through months of anxiety and stress and no sleeping and dodging it and avoiding it. We've had conversations with guys like that before, and you can tell where the business is going to start to go wrong because they're starting to bury their head in the sand. You know, and people can deal with kind of these lower lying issues and just things that they need to sort, but when a big thing comes along, take it head on, or it's going to swallow you. And you see that mindset shift, and it's something I need to work on myself. The other thing I notice quite a lot is, you know, I've got a similar process, and I've spoke about this to death on the podcast because I'm obsessed with this book, but it's the 5 a.m. Club by Robin Sharma, and it just talks about taking an hour in the morning, and that's why I like the book, because you boil it down to a very simple process, which is 20 minutes of, you know, wake yourself up, get yourself active, so you're not only up early but awake. 20 minutes of, right, what am I doing today? What did I do yesterday? What could have went better? You know, that sort of process that you're talking about. And then the last 20 minutes is learning something new.
Right.
And I don't quite implement it in that way, because I'll get up and I'll do that sort of reflective part first. Then I go to the gym at 6 in the morning, or I've got tennis or something at 6, and then I'll listen to a podcast on my way into work. Right. So that's just what works better for me.
I do something similar. So I sit and have a coffee, and I do my wee books, I call it. So do that. Sometimes if I'm maybe feeling a bit kind of about, right, I've got a lot to do with the day, I'll then maybe just take 2 minutes and just a wee breathing exercise, just to kind of calm myself down. I then go and train. So whether I'm going to do runs, or whether I'm going up to the boxing, or whether I'm going to the gym to do the weights. And then once I get into the office, I done a wee NLP qualification, so I was just going to the office and I just get into my. It took longer than it should have to get done, because it was always kind of, I'll get to that. So now what I do is I do about half an hour roughly, depending on the kind of different modules. I'll do half an hour. As soon as I sit down in the office, make a wee coffee, I'll sit down, and that's how I start the kind of office day off, by doing half an hour. So I finish the wee NLP qualification, and then I'm doing a CBT one. So just chip away half an hour each day. And then once I've done that, then it's like, right, cool, I've got my jobs I need to get done today, and sit and get them bashed away. So I've got my reflection, and go and do your lives. That's what I say to people: go and do your lives in the morning, get yourself going, and set the energy. Because I've worked out what I've consciously set about how I need to deal with things today, and that's just how I need to be. Now I'm going to go and train. I'm going to set that energy, and then bulletproof it on. What
is the flip side of that when you don't do the process?
I've never done it on Sunday, because I sat up a bit too late Saturday night. I was watching boxing. I have 2 whiskies on a Saturday, so I'd sat up and sat up a bit longer. I like my own time. I like my own, I like space. So my wife had went to her bed, and I thought I'll sit and watch a bit more stuff. And then I went up to bed, and Kirsty was going to do a hill walk in cold water on the Sunday. She was leaving before 7 a.m. Then my boys can get up anytime really between 6:30 and 8 o'clock. So on Sunday, Johnny got up and woke up really early, and Johnny gets straight upset if Kirsty's leaving. He doesn't like her going away anyway, so he was getting upset. I had to get up, and I didn't get up and set myself right first. So I got up, and I got up dealing with him crying and dealing with and Kirsty having to leave because she's to be out for a certain time. On me, so I'm still tired. I've sat up too late. He's then kicking off, and I'm having to deal with him. So right away, I've just come in, I've right into the fire without it kind of set in my head. Then when Jojo's woke up, he's come down, so you're just a servant to them getting a drink of yogurt, so they're chocolate waffles, and it's on the wrong plate, and you get it in this plate. So, I then really, sometimes when that happens on a Sunday, what I'll do is then I can then disappear and I'll sit and do it myself. Maybe I need to go back and forth, or I'll go and sit in the toilet and sit and get it done. But I never done it. I never done it in somebody there, and I just felt like I was right off the rails. Like I was just, I had no structure to it. And then I was saying my boys were hard work. They are hard work. They sense that you're getting annoyed, and they just find it even funnier. So they just wind you up even more. So it's like try to get them in the shower and they're running about, and they try to get them pride and they're running about hiding under the covers in my bed. So it's just, and my mate was coming up to his wee baby to see us and all that. So it was chaos. So if there is a day when I've not done it, then things do, and it will, if it ever happens, it's maybe as a Sunday when I've maybe sat up a bit later watching Bolton or something. And I'll maybe then just quickly go, do you know what, I need to write, I just need to think act for you today, and that's it, and that's what I'll do.
I think it's half the battle if you can accept it for what it is and reset the next again day. It's when the next again day starts to get affected and there's the onslaught, because for that's where I'm at just now with alcohol. Like I hardly drink now because we've got too much shit going on for me to feel, and it is like, you know, if you have had a heavy session out, you know, you're stuck with a bit of fear for a couple of days. So it's not so much a hangover, because I've never really got bad hangovers, but you know, it's just this doubt, fear, uncertainty that kind of creeps into your life. And I can't go into Monday with all the shit we need to get done in a week with that hanging over my head. Because it's going to be catastrophic. And it's worse than a hangover for me. So I know I'm making a decision on a Saturday night if I'm going to have more than 2 drinks that, you know, I don't want to go on that path, and it's just not worth it, you know. And then through the week it's easy because I enjoy being up super early. I enjoy doing my exercise before work. I enjoy the feeling of going into work pumped up. So why would I spoil that by having a couple of drinks after work, you know?
See, after all my kind of carry on and my madness had stopped, and then I'd met Kirsty and we were going out for something to eat, or having dinner in the house, having a couple of red wine and a couple of beers. So I was like, oh, I've got this kind of social drinking, I've got this, because before it was just to get drunk and just party. But I was like, I've kind of cracked this, I can have a couple. And it was like that for kind of a few years until I was in a different environment. I went to watch a Rangers game in a pub, and that was I did come home to like the next morning at 6 in the morning or something. And Kirsty was like,
what's
going on? I was pregnant at the time.
Jeez.
And she's like, and we just moved into a new house, and she's like, right, is this the way it's going to be? What's happening? I was like, so I just realised like that's obviously still in me. The devil's still in me. So for a year I never drank, I never touched it. And that's when I started drinking the 0% beers, because I missed that cold beer, like finishing a lot on the Friday, and so I started.
There's something about it, you know.
So it was just,
I like to differentiate from the weekend from the week. You know, week you're fully switched on. You switch off a bit at the weekends, but you know, I like having that. So do like still have a couple of drinks occasionally, but nothing that, you know, you get used to that level of, right, I can have a couple of them sound the next day, and it's
that year when I wasn't having any red wine at the weekend or the beers that you think it was cool with that, because you were still feeling a bit fuzzy on the Sunday, and you were still on the Monday, you're a bit kind of on the back foot a touch. So with that year when I never touched it at all, it was just like Sunday morning, I'm waking Alba up, like, right, come on, let's go over it. And he's like, fucking hell, Saturn. I would try to drag him out his bed. And we're going to go big walks and things like that. So feeling that freshness for that year, And then I was like, I never want to go back to that feeling kind of just, not that you've been out absolutely hurling it and touring it, but you're just being kind of putting a dampener on your touch. So that's when I decided that's when I was going to have the one whiskey on a Friday and two on a Saturday, and I tried my best to stick to that. I had to buy a wee measure because I was pouring 2 whiskies.
Aye, but they were healthy.
And I was like, I don't know, I hope to be living there. So I had to buy a wee measure, so I have 2 doubles. I have a double Friday and 2 doubles on Saturday. And that's my kind of, that's pretty much my limit. And if I ever kind of deviate for that, then
you know there's going to be consequences, or that's where it comes. So, Mark, I always finish the podcast with the same question. That is, what does real wealth mean to you?
Freedom, I think.
Yeah.
Freedom. And whether that's that you've got millions in the bank, or whether that's that you've got enough to give you a bit of freedom that you can. I think spending time with the kids is a big thing for me, and being there. So I think having a good relationship with your kids as well, and your missus, like that's wealth for me.
You can see why a lot of people might struggle with it when they're working, an intense full-time job and, significant hours in a week, and then emails at night and all that. Yeah. And not to say that building your own business isn't like that at the start, but you can transition to a point where it does feel at the time.
There was just recently, you know the American guy, Andy Ellie, the sales guy. So I was listening to a podcast that I'm a wee bit weird, maybe. I'll focus on one person. Like I will just get tuned right into that person for a period of time and just look at all the podcasts they're on, and just kind of fixate on that one character and get loads of stuff for them. So it was Andy Elliott a wee while ago, and I actually had to stop what I was doing and listen to this wee section of the podcast again, because he was saying he was like the general manager in a car sales place. He was earning like $2 million a year, bringing it home, but was just working mad hours. And his wife said to him, him and his two sons as well, his wife said, we've learned to live without you. You don't know that your son loves Spider-Man, you don't know that your son's doing this, that they're into this and that. Yeah. We've learned to live without you. And I was like, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, because if I'm not in work at night, between the gym or the office, I can be out 5 nights a week, if I let it be. And then if there's a night when I go home and it's like, no, we don't do that, we do it this way, or we do that, or like I go to give the boys a bath, that, and mummy does it, and all that sort of thing. So I was like, fucking hell, man, they're living without me, basically. Do you know what I mean? Alright, I'm providing and that sort of thing, and then I always try and kind of change my routine or change something every year when we go back to back in January. Yeah. So this year I looked in and I was like, do you know what, I'm going to work two late nights a week, and that's it. And if something's not done, it's not done. And if that's it. Because I could, like I said, I could so easily Monday to Friday work late, because there's always going to be something to do. So I said to myself, that's it, 2 late nights a week. Yeah. And that's it, because I need to be there. I need to be there for my boys. And you can be chasing the door all the time, but you chase the door, you didn't end up.
Also having the freedom, I guess, to do things like you're doing with kids and helping them.
Aye, well that's why I then looked at that, because when I'd done the gym myself, you work mornings, you work nights. That's it. Normally I'm getting home at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and I just get so used to that, because I've done it for years now, that it just became normal. I was eating my dinner at 10 o'clock at night, and I'm like, that's not fucking normal, mate. No. and then I even use language like I'm getting home early at night. So, and then I wrote about home at a normal time. So I was like, at 5 o'clock, I'm I'm closing the laptop and I'm going up the road. And it feels like I've done a half day. Yeah. It feels like I'm going up the road early, and I'm still a wee bit like, I shouldn't have been doing more, I could have done more stuff. And sometimes I've shut it then, I've got the road, and once the boys are done, then crack the laptop open there, I've maybe got a couple of phone calls to make, and maybe deal with stuff, but I'll be home at tea time, bath time, tell my story, have a laugh and we carry on, and then into bed.
But, I think anybody that's got kids has to agree with it. When you look back and you're 70, you're never going to regret a second of time you spent with your kids, whereas everything else, you might not, but that's the guarantee. Mark, Laurie, thanks a lot. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Enjoyed it.
Excellent. Alex Robertson, this is Real Wealth Podcast, and thanks for following us on this wealth journey.